Everybody else ready to go?
Oh, thank you.
All right, then I call this work session in order on Tuesday, May 7th at 6 p.m. Roll call, please.
Reverend Eilert.
Here.
Mrs. Jeremy.
Here.
Mrs. Mangan.
Here.
Dr. Swetchenow.
Here.
Mrs. Washburn.
Here.
Thank you. Before we move the adoption of the agenda, I just think it's important. I know we were all saddened and shocked by the news of Steve Kenyon's death this weekend. And we've been hearing many stories about the kind, caring, and generous person that he was. And I also want to say I've been so impressed by our administrators and all of our counseling staff and teachers and how they come together to care for our students and for each other at a very difficult time. Loveland's a community that cares for and cares about each other, and there can be more opportunities for support and remembrance in the coming days. But I think for now, I just want to ask you to join me in a moment of silence or prayer as we give thanks for Steve's life and legacy among us. Thank you. I don't know if you don't have an official report tonight, if you want to say anything more about how things went today and how we're caring for kids.
Certainly, and I appreciate you doing that for Steve. Been working with his wife Dana and his two daughters Jalen and Olivia. Steve taught here for 29 years, graduated from Loveland, coached baseball, was a math teacher, and just had a great impact on the high school and the culture. And he's one of those guys that unassuming, positive, worked hard, and I too would like to say thank you to the administrators of the building. Have done a great job, and our counselors. It was a tough day today, and Jamie Gordon, who's here, did a great job along with Katie Burkett, one of the math teachers. But it really shows how much everybody cares about each other and how they take care of each other. And I know it's a difficult time for Steve's family, but we're going to go through it with them and try as best we can. There is a celebration of life scheduled for next Wednesday, the 15th at 6 o'clock at the high school gymnasium. There is a scholarship fund set up that we did send out to parents today as well as our staff, and we'll get more information out as we go. But I appreciate the moment of silence for Steve. You certainly aren't going to replace Steve Kenyon and just the legacy he had and the attachment to Loveland. And I just say thank you to the staff for taking care of each other and the kids.
Thanks. All right, well, we do have an agenda before us. Do we have a motion to adopt the agenda?
So moved. Second?
Thank you. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Jeremy.
Yes.
Mrs. Mangan.
Yes.
Dr. Swetchenow.
Yes.
Mrs. Washburn.
Yes.
Reverend Eilert.
Yes. All right, we have minutes from our last board meeting on April 16th. Should have that in board docs. Are there any additions, corrections to the minutes? We have a motion to approve the minutes.
So moved. Second?
Roll call, please.
Mrs. Mangan.
Yes.
Dr. Swetchenow.
Yes.
Mrs. Washburn.
Yes.
Reverend Eilert.
Yes.
Mrs. Jeremy.
Yes.
All right, thank you. Our first discussion item we have then is graduation, and Jamie Gordon is here, and Jamie has really been doing double duty in the midst of all this graduation planning.
Yeah.
So thank you for all of your work
Absolutely,
and care.
absolutely. Just had to flip the switch a little bit in my brain after spending the day in Steve's classes, so. I have lots of good information for you all. I brought parking passes for all of the board members. Are you attending graduation? We were uncertain.
Sorry, I thought I had responded, no, I'm not gonna be able to make it.
Okay, that is fine,
Thank
I
you.
just wanted to make sure,
appreciate
so
it.
then you don't get a parking
Oh.
pass. Because those
You could've
just
sold
go
it,
there,
right?
you could sell it to the
Might
highest
sell
bidder
it.
for sure. But certainly,
School board arbitrage.
there's for you to follow
Thank you.
along, absolutely, and we've got a couple of parking passes coming this way. There will be parking passes, who don't I miss with a parking pass? I had one for you just in case.
Oh, well, thank you.
How about that? Those of you who are going to be there, our other parking passes coming your way, Beth Renner still has those. So, is it okay if I sit?
Yes,
Yeah,
please,
yeah.
thank you.
That would be great, I feel like I'm
Work
just.
session.
Yes, thank you, there's one for
No problem.
you,
Thank you.
one for you, and I will be back in touch with you guys for all your details a little bit later, but it'll be very similar. So, but I thought it might be nice for me to come in person today because we have new people and even more exciting, people who are graduates, which is great, so that's very fun. So, this just outlines kind of what we're gonna be doing on graduation day. So we've got, the day starts at 9:30 for all of you. So if you could plan to arrive by 9:30. Mrs. Megan, you're gonna be a little bit different, not that you're different, I don't mean that. But your situation's a little different because you're gonna be sitting with your family, is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay. So the rest of you will come to the Cintas Center and you will enter in the west entrance. There's a map. This is the map that's provided for the graduates as well. So it says graduates use the Cole Hep Auxiliary Gym West entrance. That's the same entrance you're gonna use when you get to the Cintas Center. So the parking pass is for lot A and M. I could not find that on the map anywhere, but I do believe, if memory serves me correctly, that it is the one behind the Cintas Center where the construction was taking place. Perfect, okay. So if you drive past the Cintas Center on the left, as you're looking at it, it will be around the back corner there. So that will be where your parking pass will get you in. So if you plan to arrive by 9:30, that would be fantastic, and then go through that side entrance. There will be a Cintas rep there. For those of you who haven't been to the media room yet, they'll help you get to the media room, and that's where everybody is going to meet that's going to be in the procession. So all of you, the teachers, everybody that's going to process in before the graduates. So if you go to that room, Beth Renner will make sure that you have your gowns. Graduate Services provides gowns for everyone, and we have an orange stole that says board on it that you'll be able to wear. For you, Mrs. Mangan, your gown will be.
I can go to the media room. I'll just come with
Do you want to take it with you then? Do you?
Yeah,
Okay,
that's fine.
you want to have
yeah,
it with
She
you?
doesn't need to do anything different. I'll just do what they're doing and I'll go. Yeah.
Are you sure?
Yes,
Okay.
absolutely. I'm coming with Marcel anyway, so it's fine.
Perfect, you'll
Yeah.
be there nice and early.
Yeah.
Okay, great. All right, so that'd be fantastic. So we can just have you, we'll just have your gown there as well. Make sure.
I have a question.
Of course.
I have my own gown since I
Yes,
participate in this stuff every year.
yes.
Does that make a difference, or are we supposed to look?
No, that's
100%
okay, you
same?
can wear your own if
Okay.
you prefer. Sure, no problem. That is not a problem. There'll probably be one there for you if Beth organized one for you, but that's okay. All right, okay. So Brian Knatzer will be the assistant principal at Loveland High School, will be in the media room, and he will be the one that you will check in with. He will also be the one when it comes time to get you lined up and ready to go. So Mr. Broadwater and Mr. Spencer will be the first two out, and then followed by board members. And then we'll get the order all situated and ready to go, we'll get you lined up. As you process out, the band is in the middle of the arena. So you'll walk out in pairs, you'll split around the arena, or the band, and then you'll walk up the center aisle. And then on the stage, if you're on the left side, you'll walk up the left of the stage. If you're on the right side, you walk up the right of the stage. There will be name tags on the seats. You will be in the order that the name tags are listed. So we'll get at that all. I don't know right now who all is going to be. Obviously, you all will be on the stage, except for Mrs. Mangan. But as far as others that will be on the stage, we're still working through all of that. So that's why I don't have the order yet. So that's how you will get to the stage. And then once we are up there, we will start our ceremony. We have the welcome and those types of things. After Mr. Broadwater speaks, then Reverend Eilert, you are up with your speech. I'm sorry, it's Mr. Broadwater, Mr. Spencer, and then Reverend Eilert. So you'll speak after Mr. Spencer. I do have a binder that I put together. If you would like for me to put a copy of your speech in the binder, I'd be happy to do that. If you don't prefer that, that's okay too. whatever you prefer. So
Great.
I have that available if you would like, just email it to me.
Great.
Preferably by the end of the day on May 16th, so I can plop it in on the 17th and we'll be ready to go.
Better be done by then.
I hope so, but feel
Although my
free to.
sermons aren't usually done then.
So no need to get it to me if you don't want it in the binder, but that's okay. So after your speech, then comes the diploma distribution part, which is always so fun. So there's a little diagram there. So the students will be entering the stage from, and I'm not a performer, so I don't know the stage right, stage left thing. So as you're looking at the stage, they're gonna enter up on the left side. They're gonna cross over the stage, and there will be in the center, there will be an X on the stage. That is where, as board members, you will be there presenting the diplomas, which are really just a diploma cover. There's not an actual diploma in there, so no need to worry about things getting out of order or giving the wrong cover to the, we used to do that. We're like, no, let's not do that. So then what happens, just so you know, when they get their diploma, at the end of the ceremony, they go into the auxiliary gym at Xavier and they pick up their diploma at the end. So as they receive their diploma, counselors, we will be reading the names, and they obviously will walk across the stage. They'll stop at that center area, and then you will shake their hand, stand for a picture with their diploma cover. The photographer from, the professional photographer will be down on the floor. They kind of take it from, they're on a stage type thing or a little stand, but they will stop, smile, and then the graduate will exit on the right side of the stage and head on down. So, a couple things as we're doing this. Mrs. Mangan, you are up first giving names because Marcel is going to be in the first row. So you will read that first row. With the first row, the first grouping of students are our student council reps and officers, and then also valedictorian, salutatorian, which Marcel is included in. So you'll read that first row with the other names that are not alphabetical, and then all the other students are alphabetical. There are some exceptions depending on some students who might have special circumstances or need to be by a particular teacher. Some of our students with special needs, we have circumstances where they're by a particular teacher, things like that. So, but for the most part, they're alphabetical. So then you'll continue on with the A through D part of the alphabet. And then Reverend Eiler, you're up next because Sophie, right? Not Sophia. Okay, Sophie will be, she's our first E. And so you gotta pay attention. So what happens, well, here's your cue though, because I'll be reading, we all read our portion of the alphabet, not that you guys know that by heart, but I'm the A through D part of the alphabet, so I'll be reading the first row and then A through D. E through K is Chris Fry. So as soon as Chris and I start to change places, that's when you're gonna wanna make sure, you're gonna be up there, you guys will switch spots. So you'll stay up there for the entire E through K part of the alphabet.
Are you okay in the past, and I know because
I was
all
just
three of
gonna
us
ask
have
that.
a bunch of kids that we know well
Yeah.
in this class, that we kind of hopped in for
Whatever
other
you
kids
guys
that we
wanna
know.
look at,
Yeah,
absolutely,
great.
absolutely, yes. So this is just the general structure, and then whatever you want to do is
And we're
absolutely
still
fine.
doing the thing, we shake a hand, do the picture with
Mhm.
them, right? And
Yep.
then they keep moving.
Absolutely.
Just
Yeah.
word of advice for like what works well for that, to kind of have the diploma, like to shake their hand, have the diploma like this, take the picture, and then hand it off. Does that make sense?
yeah.
So don't
So
let go.
Yeah, diploma's like this.
So
Shake
don't
the
let
hand.
go.
Sometimes you have to hold
No,
on
no,
to the
practice.
kids'
Sometimes they like to hold their hand. Right,
Yeah.
exactly. They like to
Don't
take
look at me.
off and get a little excited, for sure, that's for sure. So then after the K part of the alphabet, then Jamie Hamilton will be the next reader, and Ms. Jurek, that will be your cue to get up there for the L through R part of the alphabet. And then Ms. Washburn, you will be up there for the S through Z, and of course Logan is in that part of the alphabet. Amy Mason will be the one reading, so when that change happens, you'll hop in and then be able to present to that group of students. We do have several other guest presenters. We have a lot of staff members, which is very exciting. So I'll just be honest, it gets a little chaotic. I do my best to smoothly get the new person in, so to give you a little heads up so you're aware, I did list the students, and so you can see you're part of the alphabet, who's gonna be up there, and know that you're gonna have some interruptions at that point. So even though you may not know those particular students, just know that at that part of the alphabet, it's gonna get a little crazy sometimes. But it's super exciting. I love that that's what we're able to do for the parents and the staff members. So I think that's great. So once that is all done, or as we're up there, so the diploma covers, we have counselors and other people who are up on the stage helping out that will bring the empties to you so that we keep you stocked. We can have a counselor there handing to you, or if another board member would like to be up there as well, you can take that role, and we'll just make sure you stay stocked with diploma covers. So you just, whatever you want to do really is fine. This is the structure, and we wanna make it very personal. So we will take care of that and make sure that you have everything that you need as you give those diploma covers out. As the student exits the stage, they get another picture taken with their diploma cover, this time on their own, at the bottom of the steps. So that gets us through diploma distribution, and yes, sir.
Question, do you
Yes.
have a list of the graduates that we could attach?
Yes, so you can see and then kind of see when you want to.
I just want to throw it on this agenda, so if you have a list.
I can, yes. Tomorrow, today, right now. When would you like that?
As soon as possible. how's
Okay,
that?
all right,
I
what
got my
about,
computer, if you can get into your drive or something.
So-
approve it prior to graduation,
oh, I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
I got you.
And, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I might need a larger screen than my phone to make this happen, because actually, I have my computer in the car. I
You
could,
can use mine too.
Or there's,
Okay.
there are extras there. too.
perfect, okay. All right, so here's the, as far as the other counselors and potentially students who are finishing up the last minute, what if they're, right now,
We
I
just,
feel are good?
yeah, give us the list right now, we'll approve it. If we need to amend, we can do that at the.
Perfect, okay, all right, I will do that before I leave here today. Perfect. I'll do that, no
Sorry to
problem.
interrupt.
That's quite all right. Okay, so, anything else before I, okay, good? Okay, so then at the very end of the ceremony, the last thing, the confetti shoot goes off, and then the graduates will exit down the center aisle back the way they came. As everybody on the stage, you'll see me hustle out, because I go out the back to get to where they're going to distribute the diplomas. But if you would remain on the stage, that'd be fantastic. And as the students exit first, the teachers follow in behind, and then anybody on the stage then comes on down and then process out. If you would like to just follow the whole procession into the auxiliary gym where all the graduates are, they'll be there, they'll be getting their diplomas, turning in their gowns, and it's just kind of a fun celebration in there. So that is it in a nutshell.
Sounds good.
Any questions?
Thanks for all of your work on this.
Absolutely,
And, your professionalism makes us very confident that
Hey,
we can go well.
you know what?
If
We-
it doesn't go well, you only have us to blame.
That's
Yeah.
right. That's right, I'm just gonna blame you guys.
Says the guy who won't be there.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Blame it
So-
all on Aaron.
That's right. But if you have any questions in the meantime, or anything that you need from me, please email me, call me. I'm happy to help, so I can take care of all of it.
I will say, if you've ever had to put a graduation together, it's a lot of work, and Jamie does a great job. It's a well-oiled machine. I know practice is what, next Wednesday?
It is, from noon to 2.
Yeah, and the kids do a very good job because Jamie is a very good director.
So says my husband. Maybe not with a smile on his face.
Well, he's a lucky man.
Well, thank you. All right. Well, anything else? I will get that list.
All right.
We'll go ahead and hunker down and get that list for you. Okay, you can put it in there. Perfect. Okay.
Thank you for your
Thank
time.
you.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, and appreciate everything you do and the support that you all have given us over these last few days. We really all do appreciate it. So, and we feel it. We feel the love.
Thank
We
you.
do, yeah. All right, okay. Get the computer, get my glasses, get all set up.
I'll put that in, I assume that's correct.
That is correct, thank you.
All right, our next agenda item is the first reading of the ELA curriculum for pre-K 3 to 5 and 9 to 12. I'm assuming this is Dr. Puerta that's going to
Yep.
be presenting.
So I wouldn't really call it a first read, per se, but I was just gonna kind of fill you in a little bit on where we are in the process, and where we're headed. So, we've got a couple of different things going on. We have ELA adoptions due to the science of reading, the new requirements. So, if you recall, we have to adopt curriculum that is on the approved list from the Ohio Department of Education and Workforce for grades pre-K through 5. So that's one sort of adoption piece we're working through. And then separately, the 9-12 ELA curriculum was something we already had on our radar. We've been working on it all year. Theirs is sunsetting, so it just kind of happened to all fall in place that we were doing basically all ELA this year. So for the pre-K through 4 or through 5, kind of where we are, pre-K, they use creative curriculum already. They use the 5th edition. The 6th edition is the one that's approved by the state. So what we're looking at is just upping our addition to 6th edition, but keeping the creative curriculum. K-1-2 uses being a reader already, which is already approved, so we don't have to do anything with that. And then 5th grade is looking at bookworms. And then 3rd and 4th grade is to be determined. We're still working through 2 or 3 different publishers right now. They've been doing some Zoom calls with a few of the teachers and Mrs. Foreign and Mrs. Miller. So we're still working on 3-4 a little bit. Tonight we had the parental advisory committee, and I think John also put a public notice out that we were hosting that at LMS Media Center. So I think we had about 8 parents or so come through, and we had preview materials for pre-K, 5, and then 9-12 as well. There were no concerns with any of them. So I think we're probably in a place where we're gonna start talking to the publishers, and then I will bring you some literature and some information about all of them, so that you can have a proper first reading. But I wanted to kind of get through this part first, and I wanna get to the point where 3 and 4 are ready to go as well. So that's kind of where we are with that. We do have the money from the state, which will support our pre-K through 5th grade adoption, so it should not cost us any money out of our general fund. And it should also cover, we have to adopt like support materials that go along with our core materials, and so they gave us basically like 2 buckets of money. The big one is your core curriculum, and then you have your supplemental materials as well, and we have money for that too. So the only thing that I think will have to come out of general fund is 9 through 12, but we're looking at mostly digital licenses. We're not looking at workbooks or hard copies of a lot of stuff other than maybe a few teachers' manuals. So we're trying to keep the costs reasonable, and since it's the same publisher, just the newer version of what they already have, the teachers are already really familiar with it. They know what they need in their classrooms, so they feel really comfortable with just using the online versions. So,
Great.
that's what I got for you.
Thank you, thank you.
All right, if there aren't any other questions for that, then we'll move on to our next piece of business, which are the board resolutions. And the first thing we have up is an addendum to the purchase agreement for the land that we've been talking about for a while now. As we get into that, Mr. Espy will share a bit more about where we stand with that. I just wanted to say a couple of things too. I know there have been some questions raised in the community about the process for the purchase of the land. And I just want to make sure that we assure the community that we've been very careful to follow all the statutory requirements surrounding the land purchase and exercising what we deem to be the most helpful discretion this affords to do our due diligence in obtaining a fair and reasonable price for the land that reflects a professional appraiser's opinion of the value of the land. The Permanent Improvement Fund is the appropriate source of funds for land purchases by the district, and we looked at all the other options that we could for current properties that are available in the area before purchasing this property. Operating funds are still our priority. We want to make sure to say for the district as we move forward. All decisions about any future buildings on this property or on any of our properties will only follow a robust discussion in our community about what our priorities as a community are and what we feel would best serve our community moving forward. But again, we think that this property gives us the best strategic advantage to be able to make good decisions that will enable us to use our money most wisely in building future buildings and hopefully not displace kids into less than favorable learning circumstances while we would be building if we only had our existing properties available for us. So lots and lots more discussion and strategy that would have to happen before we would be at that place. But this is a first step that we think positions the district well and for a good price. And that's a big piece of why there's an addendum to this purchase agreement is the continued discernment about that appropriate price as we looked at appraisals and the stipulations in the deed. So I'll turn it now over to Mr. Espy.
Do you want to maybe seek a motion in a second and then we can discuss?
Sure, thank you. We have a motion to approve the addendum.
So moved.
A second.
Second.
Thank you. Now we can discuss the addendum.
Sure, absolutely. Happy to just kind of go through the timeline that the district went through to get to where we are right now and kind of maybe answer some questions as to why we're doing this now. So what I did is went ahead and put together a purchase timeline. So March 5th was a Board of Education presentation by the CEO of Cardinal Land Conservancy. And that was basically just to talk about an opportunity for the district to purchase land from Cardinal Land Conservancy and also explaining how there's a parcel of land that is not necessarily fitting the mission of Cardinal Land Conservancy.
I'm sorry to interrupt, but that was done in executive session, correct? No.
No,
That one
that
was public?
That was
No.
public here.
No, that was the work session, March 5th. And so that was the initial, discussion. We did go into executive session, and obviously have to keep that private because it was executive session, but it was to discuss a purchase of land for public use. And then
In here.
moving on into March 19th, the Board of Education took action to approve a purchase agreement. It's really important, I think, that we understand the parameters behind that purchase agreement. It's that Cardinal must have the deed at closing, which we're obviously not to yet, but they were still in the midst of purchasing the land from the Grail, or having the deed transfer from the Grail. Additionally, the district would have to obtain adequate financing was another stipulation of that purchase agreement. And then pending an appraisal that was initiated by the district, just to ensure that we were purchasing at a fair market price. As we moved on into March 29th to April 17th, we initiated a process that we didn't have to do, but it was essentially an RFP for financing. So because it was a tax anticipatory note, is the vehicle that we were utilizing because it allowed the district to borrow up to 10 years to purchase the land. We didn't have to go to RFP, the request for proposal, but we did. And so our municipal advisor collected bids from financial institutions to help service the tax anticipatory notes. Huntington Bank won that bid at the lowest interest rate of 4.42%, which was actually lower than we initially thought we would get at 4.5%. On April 5th, we received our appraisal back from Beck Consulting and kind of used that information to go forward. And then when we looked at April 16th, the board approved a financing resolution. It's important to understand that with that financing resolution, the board was essentially placing a maximum value that we could borrow, which was $1.6 million. As we went forward, so obviously we're here tonight, the board is going to consider an addendum to the purchase agreement to bring the purchase price in line with the appraisal at $1.45 million. And so we're actually going to have, with that $1.45 million and the cost of issuance, we're going to be below $1.5 million in what we're actually going to be borrowing. So it's important to know that we're not borrowing all the way up to that 1.6 threshold that the board put in place. And I just wanted to take us through that timeline because a lot's happened in the past couple months, and I think it's important to note that when the district goes into executive session, specifically when we're talking about purchasing something like land, it's important to do that because it allows us to have a competitive advantage and also not, telegraph externally what we're doing in terms of negotiating the price for a good. So typically when, in the private sector, when there's that kind of work done to negotiate, that's done behind closed doors. It's not something that we necessarily want to do, but it's a necessary process for us to be able to conduct business and purchase things at a fair market price. And I think that this mechanism and the purchase agreement that was put in place back on the 19th of March has really allowed this to play out appropriately to allow us to adjust price. And we've reached back out to Cardinal, and they're in agreement with adjusting the purchase price down to $1.45 million. Are there any questions?
Just to throw 2 points in. Number one, I think sometimes we forget as a school district, we are pretty much landlocked, right? When you look at purchasing property, it has to be within that school district. And so property in Loveland is pretty difficult to find. But I would like to say thank you to, I know the board at the Grail worked with the Conservancy such that their priority was to make sure that it did stay within the community. And more specifically, they did have an interest in the school district, which pointed Cardinal Conservancy towards us. Cardinal Conservancy in some of the negotiations did mention that there were other interested parties. And so the negotiations, those are tricky when you're trying to do them as a school district. You want to make sure you're getting the best possible price. And you know that you've got some other competing interests, right? So it's kind of a tricky one. You never want to do anything that isn't out front, but it's worked out. It's played out really, really well, and I appreciate the Grail and the Conservancy will be willing to work with us, especially in terms of meeting the appraisal price.
Do we have any questions or comments?
Well, I would only comment to kind of reiterate what both Jonathan and Mike have both said, which is there are no immediate plans to do anything with this property, but it's important for us to secure the flexibility for the school district in the future to serve the students in the community the best. And this was, to me, a unique opportunity to do that at a very reasonable and fair price in an advantageous location immediately next to a nature conservancy, which I can't imagine a better place to have a future school, if that's where we end up.
All right. Are we ready for a vote then, or do you?
Yeah, please.
Okay, great. Roll call, please.
Dr. Switchenham?
Yes.
Mrs. Washburn?
Yes.
Reverend Eilert?
Yes?
Mrs. Jeremy?
Yes.
Mrs. Mangan?
Yes.
Thank you. All right. Moving on then, we've got the Human Resources Employment Recommendations. Garth, you have some things to share?
Hi guys, good evening. I just have one. We've been really trying to keep the typical HR business to be on the business meetings and not the work sessions. There was one in here. You'll see a little bit later on that there is in Mr. Espy's section of accepting a donation for the esports club. And we want to make sure to be able to pay that individual. So the reason this isn't on the 21st is because it's supposed to be on the May 20 pay. So when that payroll run happens. So that is the only piece, is for us to accept the donation for that and to be able to pay that individual the same amount that the donation was for. And then the only other thing in addition to that is I just wanted to be able to provide an update for you guys. I know that it's a little bit of a broken record of us talking about the need of bus drivers, but I just wanted to provide an update of some things that we have going on, to just highlight some things for you guys to know, for the community to know, that we're really trying everything we can to make sure that we can have a full bus force for next year, because, you know, our preschool through 8th grade where we provide transportation, there are some retirements and pieces with bus drivers, and we're trying to get those replaced so we can be at a full force. So some things that you're going to notice or see, an update would be that we purchased another banner. I don't know if you guys have noticed, but there was a bus parked down in Old Loveland at Castle Skate.
Yeah.
We already had a banner from last year. We purchased another one. So there's one bus parked there with the banner. There's another one at Epiphany Church. If those of you who live on the Claremont County side of the town, maybe you've seen it there. So we have those two locations going. Once school is over for the year, then we'll be able to use our parking lots for those. But a big shout out and thanks to both Epiphany and to Loveland Castle Skate for allowing us to do that. In addition to that, May 11th coming up, which is this weekend, there is a food truck rally that's happening at Shoppers Haven. And we are lined up to have a tent down at Shoppers Haven to be able to pass out paperwork for anybody who's interested in becoming a bus driver and learning more about it. So that's something that you'll probably notice if any of you are going to be at the food truck rally coming up this weekend. Something else in addition to that is that we are lined up to be able to have a billboard advertising for some bus driving, and that is if you get off the 275 exit and you turn left on Loveland Madeira Road, there is a billboard right now that is Blooms and Berries that is up there on your left. It's a very prominent place, and we are working with that to be happening at the end of May for us to have a time where a billboard is going to be placed there. And then in addition to that, we also are looking into having a Facebook push, and not just posting something on Facebook, but what you can do is basically you can work on having some analytics of putting a zip code and people that are around a certain area and some demographics of who might see those posts. So we're really trying everything we can to try to get the word out that the need of bus drivers is real for us and that we are actively trying to recruit folks for us. So wanted to give you a little bit of an update on that. Also for you guys to mark your calendars for our business meeting, which is the 21st of May, that prior to that we will be recognizing our retirees. So if you guys could please be here at 5:30 instead of the 6 o'clock time to make sure to help with that presentation ceremony as well. So I know a lot going on. If anybody has any questions about those particular things, I'd be glad to field those now.
And I think it's great that we're doing a big push.
Yeah.
It's good. I keep getting, whatever Sycamore's doing for their demographics, I get their ad
Oh,
all
yeah.
the time.
You're in the demographic.
I don't know
huh?
what.
Tell them no, you can drive a bus for us.
Not driving, you don't want me driving a bus.
Can you respond? Loveland's looking too.
Yeah.
Thanks for all the hard work on that. I know it's definitely been one of the bigger, believe it or not, one of the bigger challenges you've had.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah, and a great, something else that I know that you guys probably realize, but maybe others have not realized, that we've worked with the OPSI Association that we work with, and we have the transportation incentive package that we had talked about. We extended that through the end of the OPSI agreement, and you guys were a vital part of extending that, so I appreciate that. And I really think that, I think and I'm hopeful that this really big push for the summer, maybe we can land a handful of drivers, which will put us in a much better spot for the beginning of school next year.
Great. All right, any other questions for Garth? We have a motion before us to approve resolutions related to resignations, employment of certified, classified, homebound, substitute, supplemental positions. In this case, really just the one
Yes.
supplemental position. Did we get a motion for that yet? Can I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Second.
Excellent. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Washburn,
Yes.
Reverend Eilert,
Yes.
Mrs. Jarenick,
Yes.
Mrs. Megan,
Yes.
Dr. Switch.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And back to Mr. SB to talk about our permanent improvement plan.
Yes, thank you, President Eiler, members of the board. So we're going to be talking about our working capital plan. We also call it our permanent improvement plan because the permanent improvement fund is the primary source of funding for this. So the purpose is to create a guide for our, the LCS leadership in meeting capital needs for the district over the next 10 years and beyond. This does go beyond 10 years. Right now, I think we're out to 14 years or something like that, but obviously the further out you go, the less reliable the plans are just naturally. It's important to understand this is a working document and it will be updated as needs change or there are reprioritizations. So the key informers are the superintendent and assistant superintendents, myself as treasurer, our business manager, and then our technology coordinator. And so really what this is to kind of be a guiding star to make sure that we're utilizing district funds that are in the permanent improvement fund that are earmarked for upkeep of buildings and also things that last five years or more, to make sure that we have a plan for these items and that we're thinking ahead, and also, again, reprioritizing things as they happen. So we're able to create a financial plan to go along with those specific items. I wanted to take a moment to talk through the funding sources that are in the permanent improvement fund. I think of the permanent improvement fund as a bucket, and these other little, they're not little, but these other financial items are like envelopes of money that we have within that bucket. So the largest envelope is the 003000. That's the general PI cost center, where we have our roofing projects, bus upkeep and replacement, paving projects, district phones, view boards, computer labs, network devices, general building upkeep projects, and then also our tax anticipatory note, which we call it TAN. So when you say TAN, it's a tax anticipatory note, and that's the debt service that follows along with that we just talked about in terms of our financing for the land purchase. There was also a $2 million loan that the district took out last fiscal year, and that was for high school HVAC. I'm going to be bringing a resolution to the board at the next meeting to repurpose, because we have about $718,000 left from that $2 million. So we can either use it as debt payments against the $2 million, or we can also reallocate it for other district HVAC projects or any other projects we have in the district. So really that resolution will create some flexibility there, but it'll be coming from the 0039023 cost center.
Was that part of the intent for the middle school units that we were rebidding, or is that
So
from somewhere?
that's ongoing. We actually had a conversation today with Mr. Ames, and just due to the delay and how quickly we can get some of the items, we're just trying to figure out which fiscal year we're putting it in.
But is that the funding source for that, or is that coming from
It would
somewhere?
actually, it could be. It really comes down to whether we want that to be in the top section or in that section.
Okay.
You'll be able to see in the next slide. And then also, the newest one is the 003929, which is where we have our technology. So with the technology purchases that we have, there's also technology fees. So there's offset of fees coming in from students to help purchase those Chromebooks. And if there were any items that kind of overflowed, it would go up into the 0030000. So I do want to give a shout out to everyone that's kind of helped guide this. And obviously we talked about the key informers on the previous slide, but there's been a lot of ongoing conversations with Mike and myself, and also John Ames and Rich Bryant, who's stepping into the business manager role, and also Adam Samuels and Dr. Puerta. We've had a lot of ongoing, and Garth as well, even being in HR, has been around for that. And so it's really taken a village to kind of get to where we are with this plan. But I do feel like it's a guiding star for us to be able to plan these large dollar expenditures going forward. And so without further ado, this is what it looks like. And it's a little crazy, But it actually, it makes a lot of sense to me. So we have the black sections where we're actually totaling up everything that's below it. And then we also, and so you see the three highlighted black sections that are showing the totals. And you can kind of see how everything is put into fiscal years. It's also important to note that our project revenue or projected revenue that comes into the fund is $3.965 million per year. So when you look at how much we're spending and totaled up, it's in line with that. The only thing you want to look at with fiscal year '24 that you might look and go, there's 4.27 million and you just said that we bring in 3.965. You have to keep in mind that part of that is the revenue and the expense from the $2 million one-time injection of money that happened for fiscal year '24. So that's part of the puzzle as well. But we're just trying to make sure that we put pen to paper and we put things out, we plan out, so there are no surprises. There are always going to be surprises, and there's going to be something that we have to set aside, and that's why we're not spending all of the funds per year. But we feel like this is going to be a really good step in the right direction to planning our capital expenditures going forward. Any questions about this process?
Just as we look at it, seeing just for clarity's sake, hitting out like fiscal year '29 and then forward, you're under 2 million for each of those years, but that's primarily because you simply can't anticipate everything. We do anticipate that our expenses are going to be higher then, right? It's just simply,
absolutely,
these are just those that we know of now and based on current pricing. And
right, and these are the big ticket items. There's also going to be, we had a floor scrubber that went down today that needs to be worked on. So we let a PO go in for that, and so those things are going to be like miscellaneous, and so we're going to have those as well. We're going to get a lot more detailed with this. I'm glad we aren't right now because I don't think it would fit on the page.
Yeah.
But this is just, I think we're trying to capture the large expenditures and then try to drill down even further.
I think just looking through a couple things that jumped out at me is when you look at LES, LPS, when you talk about the maintenance of an older facility, you can see where some of those costs are going to rise when you start looking at the roofing expenditures going through there, and when you get into some of the HVAC. So being able to project out is good. Technology-wise, you'll notice in a few years you'll have a larger expenditure there, about 734. Adam's done a good job of looking at what can we do as far as some of the technology that we're rotating out of the high school. Can we use it at the early childhood center since it doesn't have to be as robust? So Adam's done a very good job of projecting out, saving the money for when we do have a big rollover in the technology. So kudos to John and everybody else who has worked on this. It certainly helps us project out, and especially kudos to the community for providing the PI. It's helpful. I think our buildings are in great shape because of this.
what's the revenue per year for the technology fees?
It's the 139,720. So it's
okay.
represented as a negative expenditure.
Okay.
So that's how we show that. And I also want to point out that this PI revenue comes from a PI levy that was passed in 2004 at 5 mils. It actually has an effective millage rate now of 2.82 mils. That's just happened because the property value has grown. I mean, we're almost collecting half of what we did in 2004 because the property value has grown so much. So that's something to keep in mind.
And this is visible for everyone to see.
This is going to be visible. We're working on, I'm actually working on getting access to the website so I can update, but we're also going over through a whole website update in and of itself. So this will be out there.
There'll be a board docs for the.
Yeah, so this will be up. This will be up for board docs as well. Sorry.
And you had shared that under the TAN payment is where we would consider the property.
Yep.
Okay, just
So
so.
it's about
people
5%.
understand.
It's about 5% of our projected revenue per year. So, and you'll also see that there's under lease purchase payments. That's the $2 million loan. So you'll see that there's 5 years of payments for that are up a little bit higher.
good, this will be a good just baseline for us to use and see how how actuals are, and what, what the variances of things new things that come in, or priorities that change.
Absolutely. And it helps during the budget process, because I'm doing the budget right now for next year to bring to you. I'm gonna be bringing temporary appropriations to you in May for July, so we can start to make sure that we can spend money from July 1, but also the permanent appropriations are gonna come very quickly after that in July. So I try to go right to permanent appropriations.
What's the current fund balance?
I don't have that off the top of my head, but we actually went through it today. We're about 823,000 if you take out that 718,000 that's needs to be repurposed. So it's about 1.5, 1.6 million, just doing some back of the envelope math, not having it in front of me right now.
I think buses will be interesting to watch too, with if there's legislative changes around buses, so.
And Ohio buses, I mean, you can't go out and just purchase a bus from anywhere. The buses in Ohio are highly regulated and highly drilled down to Ohio specifications, so it makes it a little bit more challenging for us to procure buses.
I know Mr. Ames has said he always buys the same type though, so when we salvage buses, the replacement of parts is easier too, so.
Yep. So that was just an information, and if there's no other questions, move on.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. We do have one other piece of business under the treasurer, that is the reception of that donation that will fund the supplemental position in esports. $500 donation from Forward Edge, one of our vendors here at Loveland, and appreciate that as they invest back into some technology, as they continue to provide much of our support for technology here. We have a motion to accept the donation.
So moved.
Your second?
Second.
Roll call, please.
Reverend Eiler,
Yes.
Mrs. Jernigan,
Yes.
Mrs. Mangan,
Yes, sorry.
Dr. Sweshino,
Yes.
Mrs. Washburn.
Yes.
All right, I'm going to suggest that you make a motion to amend the agenda to add 6.1, which is, you're basically going to make a motion to amend the agenda to add 2024 graduates for approval.
Do we have that
Did
listed?
you email it?
Yes, it's live in board docs.
Okay, great. Do we have a motion to amend the agenda as outlined by Mr. Espy?
So moved. Second.
Roll call, please.
Mrs. Washburn,
Yes.
Reverend Eiler,
Yes.
Mrs. Jernigan,
Yes.
Mrs. Mangan,
Yes.
Dr. Sweshino.
Yes.
Excellent, thank you.
All right, and then 6.2 would be voting on the approval of the 2024 LHS graduates.
Great, so let's everyone go. We've got board docs live there. Where,
Was there, you
Should
have
be
to
at the
refresh.
bottom.
Yeah.
refresh.
Making sure your child's on
Yes.
Probably a good idea, actually, I hadn't thought about it.
Your child is on there.
It's all right.
And we can amend this at the next meeting, so, you know, if there's someone that isn't on this list that ends up being on the list, we can amend that.
What's our number for this year? Is it on? Just getting it open now.
380. I can do it.
Oh, it's 356.
I thought it was, yes, around 350, I was thinking.
357.
Excellent. All right.
Child's on.
What's that?
Your child's on.
All right, good. Good to know. All right, and we have a amended agenda, now we need a motion to approve the list of graduates.
So moved.
Second.
And the roll call, please.
Dr. Schlechten?
Yes.
Mrs. Washburn?
Yes.
President Riley?
Yes,
Mrs. Jane?
Yes.
Mrs. Lincoln?
Yes.
thank you. All right, I believe those are all of the items that we have on our agenda for this evening then. So we'll look forward to our business meeting, getting there at 5:30 to say thanks to all of our retirees and have a little reception. And we'll begin our business at 6 p.m. as usual. All right, do we have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Meeting is adjourned at 6:56.
Did you say that that was on like a